Did you know that the last great defender of the legendary Angkor Wat might have been a teenage princess? This isn't a fairy tale. It's a story pieced together from history, legend, and the echoes of a fallen empire. Let's travel back to the late 13th and early 14th centuries. The once mighty Khmer Empire, the civilization that built the magnificent temples of Angkor, was in decline. For centuries, it had been the superpower of Southeast Asia, but now it was crumbling from within and threatened from without. The kingdom was squeezed between powerful neighbors. To the east, Viet and Kampa were constant threats. But the real danger was rising in the west, the ambitious and powerful Siamese kingdom of Ayutthaya. Internally, things weren't much better. The Khmer court was a snake pit of political intrigue, with kings rising and falling so quickly that the empire lacked stable leadership. Famine and rebellions had weakened the army, and the glorious stone city of Angkor was more vulnerable than ever before. In the midst of this chaos, a princess was born. Her name is lost to most official records, a common fate for royal women of that era, but her story survives. Unlike other princesses who were confined to courtly life, she received an extraordinary education. Growing up within the majestic walls of Angkor Thom, she didn't just learn poetry and diplomacy. She was also trained in the arts of war. Imagine her, a young girl, studying ancient military strategies with the king's top advisors and warrior monks, learning how to command soldiers and defend a city. Chronicles and local legends describe her as brilliant, calm under pressure, and fiercely devoted to her people and kingdom. She was a leader in the making, and her moment was fast approaching. After years of skirmishes and border raids, the Siamese kingdom launched its final decisive campaign. A massive army marched towards the heart of the Khmer Empire, the city of Angkor itself. The Khmer forces, depleted and disorganized, were caught completely off guard. In a moment of crisis, the reigning king made a difficult choice. He retreated south with a portion of his army, hoping to gather reinforcements and launch a counterattack. But this left the capital, the spiritual and political center of the empire, dangerously exposed. The city was on its own. With the king gone and the court in disarray, panic began to spread. It seemed that Angkor was doomed. But then, a voice of command rose above the chaos. It was the princess. She refused to let her city fall without a fight. Stepping into the power vacuum, she began to organize the city's defense. It was an incredible sight. This young woman rallied the few remaining palace guards, called retired veteran soldiers back to service, and even inspired ordinary citizens, merchants, farmers, and artisans to take up arms and defend their homes. She became the commander-in-chief of a citizens' army. Under her direction, they worked day and night to fortify Angkor Thom's immense gates, repair its stone walls, and prepare the moats and causeways for battle. The princess wasn't just an inspiring figurehead. She was a brilliant strategist. She knew she couldn't match the Siamese army in sheer numbers, so she had to be smarter. She implemented classic Khmer defense tactics that had protected the city for centuries. She turned the city's massive gates into deadly choke points, where a few defenders could hold off hundreds of attackers. She positioned archers in the high towers of the city walls, raining arrows down on the enemy below. She even prepared the kingdom's ultimate weapon, the fearsome war elephants, ready to charge from the city gates. Beyond the walls, she organized small, swift units to conduct guerrilla strikes in the dense jungle surrounding Angkor, harassing the Siamese supply lines and keeping them off balance. Inside the city, her leadership was just as crucial. She managed the distribution of food reserves, ensuring no one starved during the siege. She set up a network of runners to carry messages, keeping all sectors of the defense coordinated. Most importantly, she maintained morale. Her courage was infectious. For weeks, against all odds, her ragtag army of soldiers and civilians held off the relentless assaults of the professional Siamese army. The Princess of Angkor was proving to be a formidable opponent. Then, nature intervened. The heavy monsoon rains began, turning the battlefields outside the walls into a sea of mud. The Siamese army's movements were crippled. Their supply wagons got stuck, their cavalry was useless, and their soldiers were miserable. For the Khmer defenders, it was a much-needed reprieve. The princess saw an opportunity not just to defend, but to strike back. She planned a daring nighttime counterattack. This wasn't a mission she would delegate from the safety of the palace. According to the legends, she led the attack herself, riding at the head of her most elite soldiers. Under the cover of darkness and the pouring rain, they launched a surprise raid on the main Siamese camp. The attack was a stunning success. They inflicted heavy losses, sowed confusion, and dealt a major blow to the enemy's morale. For a moment, it seemed like a miracle was possible. It seemed that Angkor might just survive. But a fortress is only as strong as the people inside it. While the princess fought with unwavering loyalty, others in the court saw the crisis as an opportunity for personal gain. A group of rival nobles, perhaps jealous of her power or hoping to curry favor with the Siamese, committed the ultimate act of treason. They secretly opened one of the city's northern gates, allowing the enemy to pour into the city. The defenses were breached. The fight was lost. Even in defeat, the princess's first thought was for her people. As Siamese soldiers stormed through the streets of Angkor, she organized a fighting retreat. Her priority was no longer to save the city, but to save its inhabitants. She ordered a mass evacuation of civilians, directing them south toward the safety of the Great Tunnel Sap Lake. She then commanded the rearguard herself, using her remaining loyal soldiers to hold back the advancing enemy, buying precious time for the women, children, and elderly to escape. It was during this chaotic, desperate last stand that she disappeared. Some stories say she fell in battle, fighting to the very last breath. Others whisper that she escaped with the last group of refugees, vanishing into the jungle to continue the resistance. No one knows for sure. Her body was never found, and her ultimate fate remains one of history's great mysteries. Though her reign as a commander was short, her legacy has endured for centuries. The official chronicles of the court may have overlooked her, but the people never forgot. Her story was passed down through generations in folk tales and oral traditions. They remembered her not as a tragic figure, but as the fierce warrior princess who refused to bow, who stood up to protect her people when all seemed lost. Archaeologists have even found inscription fragments that seem to allude to a royal woman of immense bravery during Angkor's final days. Today, modern historians see her as one of the last true defenders of the classical Khmer Empire. She represents the final, defiant spark of that magnificent civilization before it faded. In local Cambodian legends, she is still remembered with reverence. They don't call her by a formal name. They call her the princess who would not surrender. Her story is a powerful reminder that heroes can emerge from the most unlikely of places, and that true leadership is measured not in victory or defeat, but in courage and sacrifice. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as I do, please hit that like button. Subscribe for more hidden histories and share this video. Let's keep stories like this alive. See you next time.